Welcome to Beyond Sunday at Seymour Heights, a podcast created to go beyond the Sunday service experience, exploring some of the deeper questions of our faith and offering additional content from behind the scenes. It's been a little while since we've been together to sit down for one of our interview style episodes, and today I'm excited to be here with Mark Fellows. Welcome, Mark.
Thank you.
So, Mark, you now serve on the leadership team here at Seymour Heights as an elder, but I'm curious about what led up to this point. So can you lead into that a little bit for us?
Well, in the near term, I started coming here in February of 2021, and very shortly after that started serving on the security safety team, and a little later the pastoral care team doing hospital visitations and such, and really wasn't expecting to go any further than that, but I was approached to consider being an elder, and here I am. It's been I just started this recently, but it's been just a great experience getting to know the other elders and just seeing how involved they are. You don't get any clue of that when you just come and attend service. You just
Right.
The elders are just there like anyone else, but there's so much more going on behind the scenes that I'm excited to be here. I'm humbled and excited about what God's doing.
Yeah, we have a great leadership team from the elders to the staff, and just a great heart for the community of believers here, but also for the community as a whole. And so that's great. Part of sitting down today was to get to know you a little bit better. And so I wonder if you might tell us a little bit about your family.
It's not a whole lot to tell. It's just my wife, Dawn, and I. We've been married about 4.5 years now with no children. We're both in our 60s, so that's not even a consideration. We're too far along. That ship has sailed. So it's just the two of us and a dwindling number of dogs. We're down to our last dog, and she's getting older, and so that's about it. Not a whole lot of excitement there, I'm afraid.
And Dawn also serves here at church. And what I forget now, she's, I think, in a couple different areas, right?
Yeah. She slings donuts on the hospitality team.
Donut Slinger. That should be the official title, I think, of that job description.
Yeah,
That's good.
Yeah, I have to talk to Penny about that.
That's good.
That sounds pretty exciting.
It does.
But yeah, she serves there, and she serves on First Impressions and greets people at the door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what about the pastoral care team? Is that something you guys do together?
Primarily, yes, when it's possible. Sometimes our schedules don't match up.
Right.
If it's a guy, then yeah, I'll go alone. If it's a female, I'll try and take her with me.
Yeah.
And try and whatever we have to do to make that happen. But yeah, more often than not, it tends to be guys, and so I may go alone. But
It's such a powerful ministry, that pastoral care ministry team, to be able to go and spend time with people. They, get tired of being by themselves if they're stuck in a hospital or a rehabilitation center. And so just to see that familiar face from church and that time of prayer, often you guys have the opportunity to take communion as well. And so it's just a way to bridge that distance gap when they can't be here with us in person.
Yeah. It's I've been the guy in the hospital with wires and tubes coming out of him, and I've been the guy in the hospital watching his wife with wires and tubes coming out of her, and then all the stress that goes with that. And sometimes you want visitors, and sometimes you don't, and so that's something we always have to be sensitive to. And just reading the room when you get in, and okay, is this going to be a short visit, or do I have permission to stay longer? And
Right.
You kind of get a sense for that, but knowing that it means a lot to people that know that even though they're cut off physically, that there's people coming in, they're being prayed for, they're being loved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that kind of leads into my next question too. If you don't mind, tell us a little bit about your faith journey, like how you have come up along your own faith and how you've seen that grow over these last years.
I was raised in a Christian home. It's defined very loosely. I had a very distorted idea of who God was. There weren't very many good memories. I was on my own at 15 and lived with friends and from house to house, and sometimes spent the night in a car and worked through my way through high school, mostly supporting myself. And when I was 18 and out of school, I joined the Air Force, and I spent 8 years in the Air Force and got married along the way. And after that, I got out and drove truck over the road for a couple of years, and that's where I got saved. Right after I got out of the military, Hussein invaded Kuwait. The first Gulf War started, and I started hearing a lot of things about the war going on. And I had remembered enough to know something about Armageddon, and could this be it? And I started really thinking about it. And every truck driver listens to a lot of talk radio and sometimes Christian radio. And I listened to an interview from a guy who had just written a book called Armageddon: Oil in the Mideast Crisis, and from a Christian perspective. And I got the book and I read it and quickly realized, okay, this is not Armageddon. It's not the end of the world, but it's coming. And he explained a lot about prophecy and how it applied to the world at that time. And at the end, he gave a very just perfect invitation. And I prayed. I accepted the invitation. I asked Christ into my life, and my life changed at that point. I could feel a difference. Yeah. I felt God was calling me to something, some kind of service. I didn't know what. I had a lot of questions. I knew I needed to get some things figured out for myself because I had a poor understanding of a lot of things, a lot of confusion. And I was certainly going to need to have that figured out before I could possibly minister to anybody else. So I decided I wanted to go to Bible college. I left the road, signed up in a local Christian college, and very unexpectedly went through a divorce. So financially and emotionally, I was just a wreck. So I worked 2 and 3 jobs at a time for a few years and paid off debt and stayed with family and met a wonderful woman. And after a couple of years, we got married. And after a couple more years of paying off debt, went off to Baltimore to Bible college, and I was there for 4 years. And after that, we packed up. We went to South America. I graduated. I was ordained and pastored a small church there for 5 years. And then after that, we moved on to Chile and spent a year and a half there, starting and teaching, administering a small Bible institute there. He came back in 2005, came back to the States, and was starting to have some health problems, the very first signs of them. And I spent a few years in upstate New York, but came to here in about 12 years ago. In 2013, we moved here, and a few years later had a heart attack, and about 3 years after that, my wife had a stroke. Then about 5 months after that, she was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and she was gone within a month. So that kind of, after 26 years of marriage and traveling the world and just seeing God do so many things, it was really, it just took me right off my feet. I didn't know. I felt God's presence, but I knew up here that God was with me, but there's times, but it was just a lonely place to be, and you're wondering, okay, is this the end for me? Can God use me? I thought I would go first. I had the serious heart problems. Hers happened seemingly just overnight. She was there, perfectly healthy, and within a 5 or 6 month period, she was gone. Later on, about 2020, I had known Dawn from previously, and we started communicating, and we got married in 2020, and we started. We were looking for another church to attend, and we started coming here to Seymour, and just we've fallen in love with just the people. I still feel like I don't only know maybe 10% of the people,
Right.
20% on a good day, but it's
Depends what service you come to, right?
yeah, yeah. I'll watch faces, and I know faces, and doing security and everything. I'm watching faces, and um, don't really know people's names, but I can tell if somebody belongs there or not. And so it's still getting to know people and hoping they're patient with me if I talk to them and smile, but don't use their name because
Yeah.
I'm just not there yet. Yeah.
It's what's easy in the military is same with the fire department, right? Their names are usually on their shirts.
Yeah.
So like, yes, that's your name.
That would help. It'd be a little bit awkward probably, but
Yeah.
It would help. But
Well, thank you for sharing that. Just I think so many people can relate, not to that exact story, but just the ebb and flow of that, right? That,
mhm.
and I think even as you shared with the passing of your late wife, and just we've done all of this, good. We've seen all of this good work that God can do,
Mhm.
and then we are left kind of wondering, like, okay, well, what did we miss? Where did we go wrong with that, right? But to see that turn, and God's not done with you yet, right? And I think that's
Right.
the story that we can all go back to, is that
Mhm.
no matter what we've done, right, in our own
Right.
lives, God is not done with you yet, right? And so that hope that we
Exactly.
have to continue forward.
Exactly. Yeah. That. I mean, there was a lot of. There's no getting around it. There's a lot of dark times there, and I'm aware of that. I've always hated hospitals, but having been there myself and having been, like I said earlier, the one with the wires and tubes coming out, and then the other, and then the spouse looking at the one they care about most with wires and tubes
Right.
coming out of her, and the doctor saying words that you academically, okay, we're all going to die one day. We'll probably
Right.
hear that, but that's way way down the road, and all of a sudden there it is, and it's happening, and you're really trying to assimilate it all and take it all in and figure out, oh, gee, is God going to do a miracle, make something happen, or not? And um, it was I can relate better now than ever before to people that I visit now. As a pastor, I was always visiting people in the hospital, and at times, okay, it's not going to end well.
Right.
Especially in South America, you don't go to the hospital to get better. You go to the hospital to die.
Mm.
The level of care there, when there's mosquitoes flying around, there's
A lot of disease.
a
Yeah.
lot of disease. You're hearing people cough. TB is a big thing, and AIDS was a big thing at the time. And there's just all kinds of germs and insects crawling all over the place. And it's not a healthy place to be if you're healthy.
Right.
If you're already sick, how much more vulnerable are you? And that I've have a better appreciation than ever before of what that's like to sit there, and I can just imagine somebody without Christ, how void of hope that situation is for them.
I think that's one of my most difficult things too on the chaplain side of things is you go into people's homes often, and you can read through the lines, what's going on, and you just try to find a way to start to step them into what the inevitable is.
Yeah.
And it's not information that they want to hear. And you might say it several times of what's happening, but to be able to be that presence there. But I think what stands out the most to me, you alluded to, is when you ask the questions and there's not that hope, right? There's not that spirit within them. They don't have that background to lean on. So often too, you go into places where there's not even community, right? They don't have immediate
Right.
family. They don't have people to surround them. And so it can definitely be a hard time. And that's, again, back to what you do now, especially with the pastoral care team, and to go and be that witness to the families through the hospital. I appreciate the work that you do there, and that whole team is an amazing team.
It is an amazing team. I get all the emails, and they seem to come in waves. There's a whole bunch going on at one time, and then it's kind of quiet for a while. But there's so many that I wish I didn't have to go to work all the time, and I could be more available to go. Thank God we've got so many that are retired, and they're available to go during the day and just before somebody has a big surgery, and then pray with them and meet with them. And I'm actually I went from despising hospitals to actually being envious that I can't get there as much as I'd like, and just spend time with people. And you never know. Sometimes, like you said, they have these questions, but they don't want to talk about it. They're scared to death of talking about it. If they just don't talk about it, and maybe it'll all just go away and work itself out. And it's a little bit different in South America. The culture's different. The people they've got questions, and they'll ask questions, and they're a little bit more open about that than we are here in the States. And there's fewer walls with a lot of them, especially coming in as a North American. They respect you because you've left what they would love to go live in the States. You've left that to come there and to minister to them. What is it that this person came all this way and left all these things? What is it he came here to tell me? And so that would open a lot of doors very often. And I could tell you stories. And
sounds like, I mean, I'm sure you could probably have a whole nother episode just talking about your mission work too, right?
Yeah. And honestly, it's tough for me to get through some of them still. I get kind of choked up, but there's
just a powerful time for you.
Yeah, there's going to be people in heaven, and my late wife is with them now.
Yeah,
I can just imagine. But people. One was there to rob me. He had a knife, and he was waiting for us to get done doing evangelism, and he was gonna rob me. He got saved instead, and his life was changed.
Praise the Lord, right?
Yeah.
And the Lord just can work in some of the most mysterious ways, and you hear a story, and you wonder how you're going to react in that situation. Mm-hmm. You have had the opportunity to see how you react in those situations, and for the glory of God in those times. Mm-hmm. So thank you.
Yeah, it's just wonderful to see God work, and it gives me a sense of anticipation and excitement when you go to the hospital today, or just looking for. I watch people as they come in, and sometimes I'm watching for weapons and things as people come in, but sometimes I'm just watching for expressions and what's that person going through right now.
Right.
I have
no clue.
Probably.
Right?
They're probably trying to look normal, but I have no idea. And sometimes you find out after the fact that somebody was going through, or somebody you saw Sunday is in heaven by next Sunday.
Yeah.
And are any of the people I'm looking at now, do they fall into that category? And what might they be going through in their marriage and their health, their
finances right
life,
now?
Their finances
is huge.
Yeah. It's we don't know. Sometimes we think we do, but we don't know. And maybe there's an opportunity there. Maybe
God has them here for a reason.
Exactly.
And I think that's one of the things that our First Impressions team that Dawn has the opportunity to serve on does so well, is to watch for those people as well and make them feel welcome and make those repeated connections with them from week to week, to make them feel like they belong and they have a place to that is safe to learn more about who this Jesus is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, as an elder, what are you excited about? And it doesn't have to be just because you're an elder, but because you're an elder, what are you excited about in the next 5 to 10 years here at Seymour Heights?
I try to stay up on the news, and I watch, what's going on in the world just to be informed. And I see just a world that seems like it's coming apart at the seams, and there's just so much. There's people without Christ, and they're without hope, and it seems like everything's coming apart. But I've come to see it as things are coming together.
Mm.
Jesus said, this is the way things are going to be in the last days, and I believe we're in the last days. And at any moment, he could return. I just see this as an opportunity, and I'm excited about the vision that Harold's put out here in the last few weeks about who's your one. Inviting one person. There's a lot of people that'll come to church twice a year,
Right.
Christmas and Easter. Well,
Right.
this is Easter.
Right.
This is an opportunity. There might be more. They might say no the rest of the year, but this is an opportunity right now to reach one.
Right.
I can't really decide, so I may wind up inviting 3 or 4 and just
Right.
kind of shotgun, throw it out there and
Yeah.
see who I hit and see who will come. But I'm excited about that and what God's doing with this opportunity for me, for the church, for the elders.
Mm.
I mean, there's people that are listening right now. They're watching the same news without Christ, just like we spoke earlier, and how hopeless they feel, how fearful, how worried. They have kids, they have grandkids, and what's their future going to look like, and everything. It's hard to find any kind of hope as you look around, and there's nothing there.
Unless you have that hope in Christ
Unless
and
you
that
have
future.
Christ. I can't even imagine looking at all this and trying to handle all this mentally and emotionally without Christ. You could see why there's so much mental illness and crime and suicide and so many things that just apart from Christ, I don't even want to think about where I would be.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm excited about. This opportunity that all this has created in the end times, the end days like this, that we're seeing all these things happen. And it's, I want to take advantage of every opportunity that there is.
Yeah,
And
I think you're right though with what Harold has started, and there, people are hearing from all of us now, right? Who is your one? And outside of Easter, what that could look like on a regular basis is a challenge. Like who is that next person that God's put on your heart, right?
Yeah.
You've invited this person, and they're coming to church, as one of our young ladies shared in one of our service videos a couple weeks ago. You've invited your one person; they're coming to church now. That you're not done, right?
Right.
God didn't say you're finished, right?
Right.
who's the next one? You know, and I think that's what I'm excited to see too, is that continues to grow, because I agree with you. We look at the fire field, right, and just natural disasters and everything that's happening again lines up with what we know, at the end times will look like, right?
Yeah.
But what we're called to be is that light, to continue to shine that light for those around us.
Exactly. Yeah, like I said, you can come to church and you look around and you think, I'm going to see all these people next Sunday, but maybe we won't. Maybe they won't be here. Maybe I won't be here.
Right.
Maybe Jesus will return before then. So this may be the last opportunity, and that's the way I need to think of it. What if this is the last opportunity? What if there's not going to be a tomorrow? I had my own brush with death. Sat there having an eye to eye with a doctor, just like you and I are talking now.
Right.
And I had the same conversation when my wife was in that position. And we don't have a guarantee of tomorrow. With this, we have today. We have right now. So this is the time to act on whatever opportunity that God puts before us.
Yeah. Well, before we wrap up today, I know I've asked you a lot of questions, but is there any last thought that you want to share with everybody?
Just to build on what we just spoke of,
Yeah.
taking advantage of opportunities. We're excited. Dawn and I are excited to be in a church that's taking the Great Commission seriously. That we're looking for opportunities, if that's through renovating the gym or going out, reaching out, podcasts, whatever it would be, or just inviting somebody from our neighborhood, from work, from our family, from where that somebody that needs the gospel, somebody that needs Christ. That's the main thing that's on my mind. Is, like I say, as I watch the world just unravel, it just makes me cling that much more to Christ and want to share that.
Right, when that's the life raft,
Mm-hmm.
you want to share and invite other people to get on that life raft too.
Amen.
So,
Amen.
well, thank you, Mark, so much for sitting down with us and sharing more about who Mark Fellows is. We're glad to have you. As we wrap up today, remember that change can start with little moments where we can practice our faith and grow in our relationship with the Lord every day. We look forward to seeing you at church soon, and we will catch you next time. And